Merry Christmas! It's Pokemon news time because a lot of stuff happened yesterday on Christmas Eve. Also, here's a picture of my dog and her new best friend Pillow to symbolize family and the warmth of the holiday or something. And don't forget to use code Verlisify for 20% off your G Fuel order. We got all kinds of new flavors. The Strawberry Slushy Remastered is incredible. And right now for the holiday deal, spend $50, get a $15 gift card. Spend $100, get a $30 gift card. Power up for the holidays. And then we also just have like Pokemon Day happening in February and Indigo Disk Regulation F, which is also some of the news we're going to be talking about. So yeah, let's actually talk about what's going on. So, mass outbreaks started last night. Same thing for Walking Wake and Iron Leaves Runback. It says coming soon, but these things are happening now, so I guess the website doesn't automatically update. As for Guide, I mean, this already happened back in April, I think, so that should hold up, even though there's a lot of new Pokemon that are probably really good to use now. People are saying that if you have a Magearna just from playing Generation 7, it kind of claps all of the raids, which makes sense because of its ability. So yeah, just kind of try my guide or see what new things are working. And maybe, just maybe, you can have a Christmas miracle and not have a miserable online experience. Just bring Light Screen Snarl and make it impossible for your allies to fail. Also, funny thing happened, so Nintendo of America tweeted this out. Walking Wake and Iron Leaves are now appearing in Black Crystal Tera Raid battles. Except it's 5-star. And Matt calling them out. You made the same exact mistake last time. They're just 5-star raid bosses, not Black Crystal. Weird event stuff going on, and this event is going to last until January 7th. So I guess that's a cool thing about this being a 5-star Tera Raid. It means it can just be like a 2-week long regular raid event, and then you don't have like, oh man, we only have 3 days to get the Black Star Raid. Also, we have a mass outbreak of Dragon-type Pokemon event running until January 3rd. So you can find Dratini in Paldea, Jangmo-o in Kitakami, and Duraludon in the Blueberry Academy. And one reason why I'm on the news page is to show that they actually post the regulation and season details. Well, Regulation F has been officially posted, but once again, the English side is lagging behind for no reason. But we do have the rules for Regulation F. All Paradox Pokemon will be legal. This includes Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt, Iron Boulder, Iron Crown, and even though Walking Wake and Iron Leaves have been available for months, they're technically Blueberry Academy decks, so they weren't usable until now. Or at least until it starts January 4th. And that means if you're paying attention, it shows that Terapagos and all of its forms will not be usable in Regulation F. I think there was a legitimate fear that Terapagos was going to sneak in as a non-restricted legendary Pokemon and then just completely decide how the entire format was going to go. Also, it was kind of weird how Ogerpon and Terapagos were treated as the same kind of legendary Pokemon. You have legendary Pokemon from one part of the DLC, another legendary part from the other. Why would one be restricted and one wouldn't? We also had the announcement for the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Epilogue, which is going to drop January 11th. So that also like now spins in a mythical Pokemon and more restricted Pokemon and an event into the mix. But the big news is that Terapagos is not going to be allowed for Regulation F, but I see it completely destroying all integrity when we get the inevitable GS Cup format. So now we're going to have Koraidon, Miraidon, Terapagos, the Calyrex forms, and whatever other nonsense is going on for VGC or just like the GS regulation at some point. It also doesn't make any sense because Game Freak hasn't canceled a GS Cup despite making these ridiculous Pokemon and having things like Mega Rayquaza and then all like the format warping that goes around it. So then they just make another strong, crazy format warping Pokemon. You can even go back to just like Xerneas, where it's all like Smeargle, Xerneas, good luck, have fun. And then I'm just thinking about like the stats of Terapagos and Ogerpon compared to other legendary Pokemon and those interactions. But yeah, like this is just going to be one of the most stupidly ridiculous things we've ever seen for competitive. It is really weird how much weight Game Freak put into terrestrialization because they hella overtuned Ogerpon. It's like, yeah, it's just a 550 base stat total Pokemon, right? So that should be a balanced legendary. No, it's the exact same as like a 600 legendary or just better because we have Latios, they have the Soldew, 1.2 times power for their moves. Well, only their stab moves. Ogerpon is just everything 20% stronger. Slightly less attack doesn't matter because the Ogerpon forms also just get better abilities. Latios with the Levitate. That's just like on brand for lore. This is just to be competitively stupid. And then by terrestrializing, it gets +1 attack, on the same speed and then just overwhelming damage, while also having the Cudgel have a crit ratio, 100% accuracy, and 100 power. Now, Luster Purge did finally get buffed, but I mean, still, it's like slightly less damage. Also, Ivy Cudgel has 16 PP, so you can't pressure it out or try to stall it, even though it's kind of impossible to stall with that crit ratio. But Game Freak went, see, all of this is okay because the form tells you what item it has, so there's not going to be any surprise. But that means the item is allowed to be overtuned, and it can only Tera into one type. So the Tera is allowed to be overtuned with the rest of the stats of this Pokemon. And Grass Fire is also just like a really good typing, and then 80, 84, 96, so it doesn't get one-shot by everything. And it's also kind of sweepy and a good speed tier. It's just an absolutely ridiculous Pokemon, regardless of what it does. And now that Terapagos is restricted, I don't even know, man. People want me to do a Terapagos moveset guide, but, like, it's just too stupid and broken. And I don't like fueling restricted legendary format and moveset stuff. So, yeah, that's where we're at. But at least we don't have to worry about it for a while. Gouging Fire, though, is completely busted. Doesn't even make sense. All of the other Paradox Pokemon, nowhere close. People trying to cook with Walking Wake, but why? And Gouging Fire is also like one of the dumbest Pokemon to severely, incredibly overtune because you have to complete almost all the Pokedexes for the game or like catch an insane amount of Pokemon. What I liked about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and even Pokemon Sword and Shield is that while cheating still gives a massive advantage in Pokemon, if it takes less time to get your competitive Pokemon, you're not going to be as like helpless against the 99% cheaters that are in Pokemon. But then with Gouging Fire, it's like, it's not even like pay to win. They're just gating like the strongest competitive Pokemon behind an insane amount of game time that everyone's just going to hack anyways. And then Game Freak still isn't banning all the cheaters because the Pokemon Company International is corrupt and covering for all their cheaters, despite everyone getting caught at Pokemon Worlds and all kinds of other crazy things going on in the background. So, yep, there we go, guys. That's our Pokemon news. Comment your thoughts down below. How are you feeling about Regulation F? Are you just dreading Terapagos? Maybe Game Freak will have like some kind of crazy announcement for Pokemon Day that makes it to where that's not too much of a thing. Maybe competitive Pokemon will finally die and implode from all the cheating before then. Yeah, you just kind of like look at the previous GS Cups and it just gets worse and worse. Yeah, Zacian Form Calyrex. Those are your two legendary picks. Zacian Calyrex, Palkia, also a lot of Lunala. Zacian seeming to be the more overwhelming one, so that's another fun Pokemon that could be back on the table. And then Terapagos just says, all the cool gimmicks that you were trying to set up, you know, your electric terrain for maybe all this Paradox boosting or your sunny day, that doesn't matter anymore. So it's also like a weird Pokemon because it brings in the power creep and then invalidates strategies that never really took off. Like, you look at the designs of Paradox Pokemon, and it feels like Game Freak wanted VGC World Finals to be like electric terrain versus sunny day, and it never happened, so they just went, screw it. Make the strongest Pokemon we've ever seen. I don't know, but there we go, guys. That's kind of the state of Pokemon and all the news. If you like some of the other things, like, oh man, I miss Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, I can grab it. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll do some shiny hunting for the dragons, even though these don't really make sense. I don't want Diarrhea Green Dragonite. Duraludon doesn't really look that different, and Komodo's not that great of a Pokemon, so yeah, not a lot of crazy things going on. Pokemon's been dead for like the entirety of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so just a little bit of stuff going on. You do the epilogue, nothing happens for a month and a half. Pal World's happening in January, I guess, and then we'll see if Pokemon Day finally actually does things to make Pokemon good again. There we go. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.